What's up, everybody? Eric and Mark here for another episode of 5v5 Live on Shot Callers Esports. It's another lovely hump day. The LCK, LPL are back in action. The LCS, yeah, 1 week. Seems forever, man.
Need them. Need them in my life.
Seems forever. SKT's won 3 series in a row.
Hey, need more of that in my life.
Against some scrub teams. Not scrub. Scrub's a harsh word. Some lower tier teams in the LCS.
When you're climbing up from the bottom of the barrel, you got to take any wins you can. So they're taking them.
Drake said it best, man. Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Hard to think of SKT that way.
Yeah, it's a little difficult to think that way. Some news around some new champions hitting the Rift. Kaisa? I don't really know.
I have no idea to pronounce that.
There's no video of actually how you pronounce this new champion's name, but it is a Void, they're saying 80 carry that Riot has revealed. Maybe the daughter of Kassadin. That's her title, Daughter of the Void, which, you know, would make sense.
Should be Kassadin's daughter. No actual confirmation yet on that. A champion that seems, you know, in the ADC type of variety, very similar to Vayne. And even if you looked at the post on the Reddit announcing this champion, the Riot team that created her said that the term is going to be, instead of Vayne spotting, it's going to be Void spotting for this champion.
Which means dashing in and dying 1v5, trying to make a highlight reel play. But, I mean, based on first impressions, I'm not even sure that she's actually going to be an AD carry. I could definitely see her being more in that jungle spot, kind of like Kindred was in the past when she was meta. But, I mean, you look at some of these abilities and the long range on her W combined with the range on her ult. I mean, you combine that with ganking, and that's like the range of a Zac E. So
that is a
pretty insane.
Big time distance closer there. And then, you know,
Look
to
at this
think
thing.
again.
Cool.
Yeah, think about, again, then this is an ADC that's following up on that, so the damage is going to be there after it. So it's definitely a unique ability and something that when you talk about her passive as well and how that it's going to be changing the actual, you know, effects of her abilities, her, you know, Q, W, and E, and so forth, based off of the actual stats that she's picked up from purchasing her items. So it's definitely going to be a new type of champion and one that I'm actually really excited to see come into the game.
Yeah, obviously the biggest bit of information that we still need are the numbers on this stuff. How much AP, how much attack speed or AD does she need to get to actually get these bonus attacks or stats from some of these abilities? If she's able to get enough AP and AD to get all of the abilities kind of upgraded, then that's probably going to be pretty insane. But I feel like you're going to have to pick one or the other because it is permanent stats. So getting your stacks on a Rage Blade, getting a Janus shield, that's not going to do it.
No.
Permanent stats from items.
Yeah, and it's definitely something when you bring that up, you think of, you know, maybe a Kha'Zix type of champion, right? Where you're evolving an ability and getting that advantage, but you can't have all of your abilities evolved by the end of the game. So this is definitely something where I think we'll see along those lines. And something also that should be interesting when we find out more about this champion is going to be its auto attack range and finding out where that fits in amongst the other ADCs, because this champion doesn't seem to have, you know, an out mechanic like Lucian's dash or, you know, Caitlyn's 90 caliber net and so forth. I think that this ADC, its attack range will really determine its effectiveness in the bot lane specifically.
Yeah, and I still think might be seeing her jungle, maybe even mid lane. You could roam with that ult. You're just dashing around half the map, and again, that huge range on her W, I believe it is.
Could be an actually popular version of Quinn. You never know.
Oh, gross. But I mean, it's kind of like Diana, where you mark someone and then you just have an insane dash, except the range on her ability is 16 times that of Diana's. So.
Yeah. Seems like a lot of champion abilities shoved into one brand new sexy looking Void champion.
That's right. Of course, anything from the Void, coming from the Void is sexy. Cho'Gath, Kassadin, all very sexy.
Man.
We'll see where this champion fits in the meta, and maybe it doesn't. Maybe it'll be terrible on release. You never know with some of these champions that Riot likes to release.
Hey, it could be a Zoe, it could be an Ornn. So either way.
Both broken, just give it time. Thank you, Riot. 5 weeks in the books for the LCS, which means we are now officially past the halfway point, 4 weeks left in the regular season, which means it's time to start handing out some mid-season awards. Who's had the best performances through the first 5 weeks. So we're going to hand out some MVPs of the midway point for NA and EU, as well as Rookie of the Splits. And a little bit later, we'll go through our first and second All-Pro teams. Again, both NA and EU. And at the end of the show, make sure you're sending in your questions, by the way. We'll go over that. I'm sure you guys have some differing opinions with who we think MVP and some of these all-pro squads are. But let's dive into MVPs.
Let's go right at it, man.
Right into MVPs. Starting off in EU, Mark and I have slightly differing opinions for who we think MVP in EU is, but I think it's pretty much a two-horse race, I'd say, between these two guys as your main guys, Perkz and Jizuki. Somewhat comparable numbers. I gotta go with Perkz just because he is the full focal point of that G2 squad, and I know that Jizuki is as well, but I just think Perkz so far has had a more dominant split, especially with that last week, what kind of happened to Vitality, their first O2 week. We'll see how they rebound after that, but I gotta go with Perkz.
Yeah, see, I can definitely understand the Perkz pick. Perkz has been fantastic and has actually, from I think the first week or two of the European LCS, has been one of the players that has kept increasing the performance of his play. But for me, it's gotta be Jizuki. This Italian stallion has really brought the fiery play that Vitality has needed to jump out to this hot start that they have already. He, for me, has to be the MVP. His 1v2 plays are the absolute cherry on top of the cake. Jizuki is my European LCS MVP.
Here's the thing, you listen to some of these comms for Vitality, and it's guys like Gilius who are constantly telling him, hey man, chill out. Chill out. He gets fired up from any kill. He's screaming, giggling like a maniac.
When you got Gilius telling you to calm down,
chill out,
you
man.
know you're bringing the heat.
Focus. Focus. I've heard multiple comms with guys on Vitality saying, focus, focus, because they get a couple kills and then they just start laughing at the other team. They suck.
Hey, maybe that got in the way this past weekend, and maybe you got to rein it back in. I'm sure they'll find it.
Yeah, but I mean, after 5 weeks, those are definitely the front runners, I'd say, for MVP.
Those are real deal numbers for sure. You can't produce numbers like that into this point of the season and be a fraud in that type of sense. These guys, Jizuki and Perkz, I don't think you're going to see a slump here in the second half of the split. Will continue to play like excellent stars.
Yeah, I think going forward the last 4 weeks, though, I think Perkz is going to start separating himself. Again, we'll see how this Vitality squad can rebound from their first real test and hurdle that they've had to go through this split, going 0-2. I mean, when they're happy, everything's fabulous. You're in paradise. When you start losing, that's when things, the team's grit and, synergy overall gets really tested. We'll see if they can bounce back. I hope they can.
Yeah, this is definitely something, when the first little bit of adversity hits the team, you want to see how they're going to react, how the team is going to perform as a whole, and how everybody is going to be pulling together up and trying to bring that performance back to the level it needs to be to pull off a win in the European LCS. I know that Vitality will be able to do that.
Let's go right. Stick with EU, move over to the rookies where I've got a little bit of a cop-out. You had Jizuki as your MVP. I think Perkz is going to get MVP, which means Rookie of the Split for me is going to go to Jizuki because he's not getting MVP. You like mini true packs. I just think, Jizuki's in the MVP conversation. If he's not going to win MVP, he gets Rookie.
See, I have no problem agreeing with that one, but for me, I think that he's good enough to win that MVP in his own right, and that leaves mini true packs as the EU Rookie of the Split. This guy has come in, he's performed absolutely all you could ask and more from the AD carry position. He's really shown himself to be in at least the top 3 at his position in the European LCS, and his aggression and plays and the ways he's picking up these kills, I've really been impressed with his play. And he's bringing out some champions that we haven't seen all the time, and we haven't seen in a long time, featuring Ziggs, which we haven't seen all the way from spring last year. So I'm really excited by his play so far, and he's got to be my pick for your European Rookie of the Split.
Yeah, I mean, if Vitality keeps playing the way they are, again, not including last week, it's definitely got to be someone on that squad that's going to take home Rookie of the Split honors. I mean, there were a lot of guys that were kind of hyped up in this rookie class, guys like Upset, Sheriff, Kadrill. How's that going? Is Kadrill getting Rookie of the Split? Probably not. Probably not. Maybe get a few troll votes, but I think Upset's going to play better in these last 4 weeks. You've already seen him last couple of weeks. He's played more aggressive, and there's been moments where it's like, okay, that's a little too aggressive. Maybe don't flash in on Twitch. But I'd say so far he's underperformed in terms of people's expectations for the Schalke AD carry coming into this split.
Right, but I think that when you look at Europe as a whole, there have been quite a lot of freshmen stepping up to the European LCS stage, and for the most part, a lot of them have performed better than you would expect for a rookie, and so you do have to tip their cap to them on that one. But I think that right now, the absolute cream of the crop for me has to be Mini Trupax and Jizuki, but he's my MVP, so he can't be having the Rookie of the Split.
Yeah, that would just be not fair. You can't give them both awards.
Can't have your cake and eat it too.
No, I don't understand that saying.
I don't know.
Of course I can have my cake and eat it. That's the point of having cake.
I just know it's a saying. I don't know the
I
actual
don't understand
point.
that saying. That saying makes no sense to me. Makes no sense. Mini Trupax should also get the award, by the way, for best post-game interviews, because that guy just trash talks the whole way through.
Yeah.
It's great.
He's not what we call reformed. He's still
I love trash talk. Give me more. Let's go to NA, starting with the MVPs in NA. And listen, most of these NA awards going forward, here's a spoiler, a lot of them involve Echo Fox or Cloud9 because they seem to be leaps and bounds ahead of these other teams in the NA LCS right now. So let's start off with those MVPs. And I'm looking at a guy like Smoothie, not only because he's got fantastic hair. I wish my hair could.
It's probably the best hair in the NALCS. Pulls off the Silver Fox move real good.
He does pull it off very well. The numbers don't really do justice to how great Smoothie's been early on in the split. His roaming is just key for Cloud9 getting ahead. And I got to talk about that stat at the bottom. No player born in NA has ever won MVP. See,
when you showed me that, I was like, really? Really? And I had to do a hard think about that. And then you're like, oh yeah, you're right. No one actually has because Bjergsen's not really NA.
4 by Bjergsen. You got Phoenix, you got Rush, you got Arrow.
See, I was calling for the 5-peat. I was thinking Bjergsen was going to do it. Doesn't seem that way so far. His performance has been okay. You'd probably be expecting better from someone like Bjergsen and from an organization like TSM. So for me, it's Dardoch. Dardoch has absolutely been one of the standout stars for Echo Fox. He's been a guy that has really allowed all of their team to play to their absolute pinnacle of strength. When you're talking about Huni in the top lane, the visits that he's getting from Dardoch is allowing him to get through certain matchups, like we just saw with Cloud9, that Lucian counterpick, and he absolutely crushed all over that Lucian counterpick. Dardoch was a huge reason that he was able to get there. I think that Dardoch's decisiveness and aggressiveness from Echo Fox has really propelled them to playing a strong start to the split and why he's my MVP pick to start.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of these other junglers who historically have been more carry-oriented, like Mike Young, Contracts, a guy like Lyra, have seemed to kind of struggle a little bit in this tank meta. Dardoch, a guy who's played a lot of carry champions in the past as well, is thriving in this Sejuani, Zac, all these guys who do sub 5k damage after a 50-minute game. He's looked fantastic on them, and he's definitely been the star jungler in the NALCS so far, and one of the main reasons Echo Fox is ahead, but I love what Smoothie's doing. You bring in that shot calling too. I don't know how much you can include shot calling in MVP, but I think it should be quite a bit.
I think that that's definitely something to be taken into the consideration for it. And Smoothie, as you said, has really stepped up his game, and he's definitely brought the heat for Cloud9. This is someone who's his performance specifically. I want to mention him because when and this isn't to take any credit away from Sneaky, but that Cloud9 bot lane has arguably looked the best it's ever looked, and I think that that is a large part in the way that Smoothie has really stepped up his performance this split.
Absolutely, and you got to ban the Alistar. You got to ban the Zac against Dardoch. You got to ban the Alistar.
Those would have to be the two. No Blob Squad and no more Mukau.
Yeah, anytime you're basically forcing your team to ban something,
pretty powerful.
You're doing pretty well. Shoutouts to Huhi's Aurelion Sol.
I was gonna say that's what we always talk about.
That's not a good comparison. Rookie of the split so far in NA. I'll tell you what, it's not even a race.
This isn't like the EU one where we're having to debate who's getting MVP and Rookie of the Split. There's going to be some contesting. This one's done.
Give it to him right now. So we couldn't really compare him to any of the other rookies because it's not just fair.
Who are you going to compare him to?
It's not fair. The only thing you can compare him to is what would you rather have on your team. You're looking at the man. We're talking about Licorice, of course. We're talking about Licorice, the C9 top laner, or some actual Twizzlers Licorice. Let's go right down to the stats here. 3.3 KDA for Licorice, and you're looking at 163 calories per 45 grams. That's about 4 pieces of Twizzlers.
That's not too bad. That's a pretty powerful snack. That's a lot of energy coming through.
That's a lot of calories.
But you're forgetting it right now. So you're talking, Licorice, yeah, you might have a CS differential of 10 at the 10-minute part. You're doing okay. But, Licorice, actual Licorice, 19 grams of sugar, that's a lot of energy coming in through for you.
Yeah, I don't know if you want that much sugar. The main stat there was the iron. per 45 grams of licorice, you're getting 2% of your daily iron intake. 2%! That's not bad.
But hey, if you're taking C9 Licorice, you're getting your daily percentage of wins in League of Legends. This
and
guy,
solo kills. Look at this guy.
Oh, loving it. He has really performed, and this is a guy who I thought would be, again, the rookie of the split coming into here, because I thought that we didn't have as many exciting rookie options in North America, say you do in Europe. But what you've seen from his performance so far absolutely has solidified that that result, that he should be getting this Rookie of the Split trophy and earning it based off of his gameplay and not just being because he's there type of thing.
Yeah, and you heard a lot of the pros were asked who the Rookie of the Split so far is. All of them said Licorice. There's no case to be made. I thought definitely might perform or have to be the featured carry on that Golden Guardian squad. He's actually been the weakest link on that Golden Guardian squad. Some of these games, I forget who they played when he was on Callista, but he got 3 kills early and still finished with like a third of the damage done to the opposing AD carry.
The Golden Guardian special, man.
He has not looked great on the Guardians. And has had moments on FlyQuest. Obviously, he didn't play a couple games with Shrimp in there.
Right.
But, I mean, still not even close to compared to Licorice. The next closest is probably Solo.
Yeah, and Solo's been okay, but
great.
But nowhere near the impact that, you know, ironically, the impact that Licorice has actually had for Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, Solo, has probably been one of the better performers on Clutch outside of, obviously, Fevivin. But Solo also has exceeded expectations for sure, just not quite to the degree that Licorice has.
Nope. And hey, he doesn't have a name that goes with piece of food.
Yeah, Solo top. Come on, man.
How are we going to make a cool little picture slide for that one?
It would be great if he went on TSM, though. Team Solo, mid Solo.
That would be something.
That's pretty good. You should replace Haunter on TSM. There you go. Let's jump over to the All-Pro teams.
Let's do it.
These are the guys who we think, you know, if you're drafting your All-Star lineup, they do the All-Pro awards, first team and second team every year. So that's what we're going to do. And again, spoilers, a lot of Echo Fox and a lot of Cloud9. Let's start off in NA. We got Mark's picks here for his All-Pro squad going forward. Look at that.
Pretty simple. You can't tell where these players come from, right? Which teams? It's multiple, right? And 2 is multiple.
Yeah.
So I've got right at the top, I'm taking Huni and Dardoch straight from Echo Fox. I want the 2 of them there. They have absolutely, to me, been the top performers in their positions. There's no question about it. And then when you look in the mid lane, I struggle with picking, well, Pobelter's been pretty good. Fevivin has had some hard carries. But it's got to be the man Jensen. Jensen was the guy that I was talking about in the summer split that I thought his numbers were impressive enough to win the MVP. And he's doing it again and really performing well for Cloud9. And when you're looking again, then that bot lane for Cloud9, I said it's arguably performing as good as it ever has. And that largely has to do with Smoothie stepping it up. But Sneaky, again, has been the best AD carry in my position. In my eyes, sorry.
And the best in that position.
In the best in that position.
Yeah, mine. Listen, it's pretty much all Echo Fox and Cloud9 for these top first team All-Pro. The only difference I got from yours is I'm throwing Altec. I'm throwing in my boy Altec in that AD carry spot. Yeah, Sneaky has been great, but he's actually got some of the lowest kills per game out of all the AD carries in the league. He finished the game with 0 kills on Drink. Yeah. And Cloud9 won that game.
That I will say.
That was
questionable.
Questionable. He's still been fantastic through the split. But I mean, Altec has put up some awesome performances. You looked at the last game that they played against Cloud9. Him and Adrian were fantastic in that bottom lane, especially in team fights. It helps when you're playing Callista Tom Kench because that combo is so toxic. It makes me want to puke watching someone have to play against that. But he's been super solid and really carried some of these games. I mean, all the attention is going to go to Huni and Dardoch because they have been the best top lane jungle duo, but Altec in that bottom lane has been a rock for Echo Fox.
Yeah, and I think that if you're going to go elsewhere for the AD carry, Altec is a very reasonable and strong pick there. Again, hasn't looked outmatched in any of his matchups against the other AD carries, even bringing in, Sven, the best bot from the West coming in, hasn't mattered, hasn't looked outclassed. Altec definitely a strong pick for an All-Pro team.
I mean, Sven and Mithy haven't really outclassed anyone.
Well, that's the thing, right? You would have expected coming into this to say, hey, well, Sven and Mithy, best bot lane from the West coming in, they've got to be making your All-Pro team, right? Either one of them didn't make it because either one has not shown anywhere close to the plays that you need to be in an All-Pro team. which these guys that are on the AllPro team have been making.
They got 4 weeks left to figure stuff out, Sven and Midseason,
Crunch time.
as well as the rest of TSM. There's still a lot of guys who have put up some good performances. So let's look at our second team All-Pro, the guys just below. These guys also have still had fantastic splits, and spoilers, is probably going to be the rest of the Cloud9 and Echo Fox rosters. That's why Mark's wearing the Echo Fox orange today. These are Mark's picks.
Hey, you got to respect it. Licorice, this is the guy, this is the rookie of this split. He, other than Hooney, there hasn't been a top laner that has really stood out. Maybe Solo, but it's definitely Licorice with more of the impact performances. And then when you're looking mid-jungle, this one...
So some Team Liquid guys.
I was deciding here between either Sven Skaren or Smithy, and I decided to go with Smithy here. I think that he has performed very well, and yes, you know, sometimes you can get on him for missing some of those skill shots, but at the end of the day, he likes to view it as, well, at least I'm taking these skill shots, right? You know, you're not... You know, it's not the, and not to throw the other guy who I was going to put up here, Sven Skaren, under the bus, but it's not, you know, the Sven Skaren hold on to your Sejuani ult for 22 minutes type of idea. Is he wants to get it used and get the
serious shade,
use the cooldowns. I think that Smithy here deserves this second spot in the All-Pro team, and I think again when you're looking mid lane, Febivin has absolutely been the guy that has stepped up and picked up some carried game performances for Clutch Gaming, and then down the list, 80 carry double lift has looked very solid for Team Liquid, sometimes making some questionable choices like recently. This
You're up. We're back! Having a little technical difficulties.
It happens sometimes.
I think Mark's cat tripped on the wire.
That was it. I shouldn't have brought my cat in.
I told you not to bring your cat in, and Mark said, I'm not coming in unless I can bring my cat.
Yeah, it was a really poor decision. Really poor decision. Kitty cats, kitty cats.
Kitty cats, I love kitty cats. We were talking about second team All-Pros. Just went through Mark's. He had Hakuo and Double Lift in that bottom lane. Let's check out mine for the NALCS second team. I got a few differences than you. First of all, I like Febivin in the mid lane. I agree with you there. I mean, he's far and away the featured carry on that Clutch Gaming squad. Most of their wins are from him playing well, and they've won. Look at that. We're back again. I told you, Mark, you got to get rid of this cat.
It's that cat,
man. You got to get rid of this cat. Keeps tripping on the wires.
Sammy, stop it. You're doing crazy.
Cat. That's a terrible name for a cat.
Yeah.
Sammy the cat. This is the second team All-Pro in NA. A couple differences again from Mark's. I got Sneaky in that bottom lane because Mark had him on his first team. I had Alltech, and I got Adrian in that support spot because, I mean, again, they've been a super consistent bottom lane for Echo Fox, and that handsome, jacked man that you're seeing is Mr. Sven Skaren, who looks
Swole Skaren now.
Swole Skaren looks rejuvenated now that he's outside of the chains of TSM.
He no longer has to be Bjergsen's ward.
That's right, he's Jensen's ward. And Licorice's ward.
Yeah.
But he just looks, he's looking a lot more comfortable on C9, and he's said in pretty much every single interview that he's feeling much more comfortable and relaxed on Cloud9.
Definitely showed on the Skarner plays that he's been making right now. Predator Skarner, really impressive work. Sven Skaren's been probably, again, you could say it right here, one of the best junglers in the NALCS. He's number 2 in your list. He's number 3 on mine. Close number 3.
Close number 3. Another guy not on those lists who you could definitely make an argument for getting in there is Phoenix. Again, pretty much the one guy out of the top 2 squads who's not being included here. He could definitely be on that list. You could maybe even put him first, you could argue. I feel like Jensen and Febivin have been better slightly, but Phoenix has still been an absolute animal in lane. And he's a close third.
And I think that that's when you talk about, I think that Jensen and Febivin have shown themselves to be 1 and 2. And then when you're looking at the performances from everyone else so far this split, yeah, you probably would slot Phoenix into number 3 and maybe Pobelter even into number 4 right there.
Where's
how things have
Bjergsen?
gone. And then Bjergsen maybe number 5. Who knows?
No.
Sad times for TSM.
Again, in 4 weeks, We do this again at the end of the regular season.
Bjergsen is the champion. He's fantastic.
Bjergsen gets his 5th
Everyone loves
MVP.
it. Yeah.
Wow. Remember the cruddy part of the regular season for TSM? No one. No one remembers. You just remember them doing well. But maybe that won't be the case. Make sure, again, you're sending in your questions. I know we've had some technical difficulties on this show, so hopefully you're still staying in and able to we'll answer some questions a little bit later. But let's look ahead to week 6.
Take a look through the future.
We got some juicy matchups yet again. Last week we had some big ones, G2 Vitality, Echo Fox, Cloud9, and again we got some nice ones in NA and EU. Let's start off in the NA. In the North America. It's another Echo Fox tilt that's going to be an interesting one. They're taking on Team Liquid, who, yes, is coming fresh off a loss to the Golden Guardians.
Oof.
The Golden Guardians. So we'll see. This is a big chance for Liquid to rebound against the top team in the LCS.
Absolutely. Definitely looking for a bounce back performance, and that's, not to try and take anything away from the Golden Guardians, but they seem to be, most of their games they're losing in lanes, getting killed and crushed, and then not making it. This one against Team Liquid, they managed to hold out in their lane phase and get all the way into the team fights, and then they were the ones coming away with the team fight victories against Team Liquid. Liquid cannot let that happen against Echo Fox. They are going up against one of the most decisive and aggressive teams in the NALCS, and arguably all around the Western regions right now. I would say that Echo Fox is arguably the most decisive and aggressive in their calls, and that's why they're able to come away with such spectacular plays when they are, and I think that Echo Fox will be using that to their advantage once again to pick up a win against Team Liquid. The slide isn't over for Team Liquid. It's still going.
I mean, you're going down a big slide when you're
playing. Steve's got to break out the paycheck real soon.
There's a double lift play, by the way.
Yeah.
Yowzers.
What are you jumping into there? I don't even know.
I mean, listen,
You're dead?
Kudos to Golden Guardians. They played super well in that game. Lorlo's actually looked pretty rock solid on a team that's been bad for the Guardians. So kudos to them. They played well. But I mean, Liquid, they played the fastest game of the split. The first time they played Golden Guardians, absolutely demolished them. And since, those weeks, it's changed a lot. They lost 3 of 4. I don't know if they have a chance against Echo Fox.
A lot of their performance issues, I think, right now are coming from the way that they're trying to settle into a play style that isn't quite what they were running at the beginning of the season. I thought that the beginning of the season when they were running more of an, Ole and Smithy kind of roaming type of idea, and that they would be cooperating with each other to pull off some plays. I thought that was where they were at their absolute strength, and I think that they should get back towards that to try and get off this little skid.
Yeah, and I think Impact specifically and Double Lift have been underperforming a little bit the last couple of weeks. So we'll see if they can bounce back against Echo Fox. Another nice looking matchup on paper in week 6 is Cloud9 against Clutch. Clutch has won 4 in a row. The last time they lost a game was when they played Cloud9.
Yeah.
So they've been looking really solid. Apollo and Hakuo are looking much better than they were early weeks in that bottom lane, and even Lyra's starting to step up finally.
Oh yeah, that was I was totally calling Lyra out on his Skarner play, just saying like, don't even bring it up again.
You said he was dead.
Absolutely turns me out wrong again. This guy brought up his performance. Really happy to see Lyra playing the way that he needs to for Clutch Gaming to be involved in these games much more often. And then yes, you bring up the fact that you have a Febivin in your mid lane who can absolutely be a star for you. And then even you're seeing it now with Solo in the top lane as someone who can handle his own and actually contribute meaningfully to these teams and to the team fight. So I think that Clutch Gaming is a much more realistic and real team as far as a playoff threat than we actually have given them credit for in the past. But I think that now they're going up against somebody who will best them in Cloud9. They're just too good right now.
Yeah, and the last time these guys played, it was pretty dominant towards Cloud9. They had a bit of a throw around Elder that stalled the game out a bit for Clutch, but I mean, they still ended up losing that one. Clutch looks super clean against TSM in their second matchup. No Apollo.
Clutch has maybe the cleanest week last week, arguably.
Yeah, and again, maybe you say it took them a little too long to close out that TSM game because they had a huge lead and were in full control. But I mean, they still won the game.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think they have a better shot against Cloud9 than they did in the previous matchup. But I mean, the main reason Cloud9 lost to Echo Fox was that Lucian top and just how well Dardoch avoided vision and played around that. So I think Cloud9's going to look a little different than in that matchup.
Right, and things like the Lucian top pick can be good because it gives you a very clear win condition to play around and something to be focused on. But obviously, when you don't execute that win condition, it doesn't matter at the end there because you're going to be losing, and that's obviously what happened. And I'm hoping and I'm quite confident that Cloud9 will be avoiding anything like that heading into this week.
Also, Echo Fox, TSM, another interesting matchup. TSM, it's not quite must-win games, but it's getting close.
Definitely getting closer, and especially when you're losing games like this to Cloud9 and then Clutch Gaming, teams that you're going to be playing in the playoffs, and to Clutch Gaming, you've lost both of your matches to them. So how are you going to even go into this thinking the confidence of that? Well, we're going to pick up the 3 wins needed to get ahead of them. It'd be a tough thing to ask.
I don't think in the final 4 weeks TSM can afford another 0-2 week.
Nope.
They got to go at least 1-1 going forward.
And hey, this is the time that Coach Song came out and said, hey, week 4, week 5, that's when you should be judging us on how things are going. And things haven't improved. It's time to...
It's week 6, man.
It's time to step up. And you know what? It seems like the issue that was there for TSM was not enough communication. And now that you kind of have too much communication, too many things are being called out and not enough people are being decisive on what actually to do. And that's why I give so much praise to Dardoch and Echo Fox for actually being able to clear through the clutter and make that aggressive decision call on it. And it seems that TSM is hearing out all these type of options and not being able to actively decide on it fast enough.
Absolutely. Over in EU, last week's most hyped up match was, of course, G2 Vitality. And, I mean, maybe it lived up to the hype. Not really. G2 kind of
If you're a G2 fan, it lived up to the hype, maybe.
G2 just clobbered them. All Vitality got in that game was 2 dragons. No kills, no turrets, 2 dragons. That's all they could get. Complete control by G2. They've won 6 in a row. They're taking on Fnatic this week, who have won 5 in a row. It's the old gods back at the top of the standings. I'm excited for this match.
Yeah, I am definitely really looking forward to this one, and I'm sticking with the Kings. I am going with G2 on this one. I think that they have absolutely started to find their stride. Wonder has really stepped it up in the top lane, and then you're talking about Perks. Perks has absolutely been a standout performer in the mid lane, and he is finally starting to get some more help and more cooperation with Jankos. I have really liked what G2 has brought to the table in the past week or 2.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Fnatic has also looked super good over the past little while. They've gotten a lot of their issues kind of figured out. Caps is performing at worst a top 3 level out of mid laners. You saw him clobber Nuke Duck. Got a couple of solo kills last week. Reckless and Hylissang seem to be performing a lot better. You saw them getting some 2v2 kills in those clips. Soaz is Soaz in the regular season.
Yeah.
Some games he looks great. Sometimes he's kind of feeding.
Yeah, sometimes you're like, oh, that's the AllPro Soaz, looks good, and then sometimes you're like, that's also Soaz.
That's week 1 world Soaz.
I don't like that. Fnatic, yes, they have looked much better and they're picking up those 5 wins in a row, but I still think that G2 is just in a better shape right now in their current form and their current performances, that I think that they're going to be the ones coming out on top.
All right, well, you believe in them. And then we also got 2 teams that are looking to get back to that top of the standing. Vitality's still at the top of the standing.
Vitality not as far down as the others.
I mean, they're tied
Misfits.
for first. They're tied for first. Everyone calm down.
Hey, the Misfits just got a huge deal with Alienware. They're feeling good. Maybe they'll turn it around here.
I don't know how good you can be feeling. Last week, they beat UOL.
Yeah, I'd say something, right?
Beat UOL. It's who's going to rebound better, basically. The last time these guys played, it was basically a Baron steal that separated them from Maxlor. That was
certainly not the cleanest of games.
That was Vitality's first loss on the split. This is a big game for both these teams to kind of prove that they are top-tier contenders going forward.
Right. Misfits really needs to start picking up these wins, and it's so necessary for them to get, because they have just fallen behind right now in these standings, and that if you need to get where you want to be in these playoffs and in a better position for these playoffs, you need to start picking up these wins. And this is definitely one right now over a team that is ahead of you and that you know is going to be in this playoff picture, that this is such a vital one for Misfits to pick up. But I just don't have the confidence in them. They haven't been playing well enough. And specifically for me, it's the problem right now is Maxlor. And this is a guy who I thought was fantastic and had a great performance at Worlds and really came into the spring split and came out of the gates on fire, was really doing well. And just in the last 2 or 3 weeks has absolutely fallen flat on his face and has not had the performances necessary to get wins or even anything productive going on the LCS stage. And I think that this continues into the match against Vitality. I think that Vitality will play strong enough against him to keep him down and keep Misfits in their losing ways.
Yeah, he's played a couple of these carry champions, tried them out with the
Yeah.
Kazakhs, the
Hasn't
Rengar. No kills in both those games.
And I love these type of carry junglers, right? I love the Kazakhs. I love the Knife Kitty Rengar. Love it. But at the same time, when you're watching it in the European LCS, it never seems to quite work. You watch the Kazakhs, Blossom play the Kazakhs over in the LCK, and he's, converting on all these kills that they've already poked down people. But then when you're watching the EU LCS, it just seems that Kazakhs is feeding, that you've called the exterminator for the bug, and he's out of here. So it's a lot of questions that I would have with Maxlor taking these aggressive style champions, and I can understand that this is how things are, the priority is in Europe right now, but I feel like their performance isn't anywhere close enough to warrant these type of picks.
I mean, it's the meta of tank junglers. You gotta succumb to the meta sometimes. I totally skipped over and forgot to do our EU LCS AllPro teams.
They're pros.
So let's jump back to those.
Let's go back to
those because we can't do NA and not EU. We got to show love to the EU brethren as well. So let's start with my first team AllPro squad out of the EU LCS. And much like it's a lot of C9 and Echo Fox in NA, well, EU's got a lot of the top 3, even top 2 squads for me in G2 and Fnatic. I got Wonder in the top lane. Guy's been the best top laner in EU so far. I don't think you can argue that. Basically, the whole top half of the map, I think G2 has had the best performing guys, Jankos and Perkz. I think Perkz is front runner for MVP right now. AD, I got Hans Sama. This guy, Misfits has been struggling lately, but this guy has been by far the best performing player on that squad, and he's been one of the most consistent ADs in the entire league so far. Just his damage output, his CS per minute, they're not really losing in lane, him and Mickey X down there. And support, listen, I think this support pool in EU is the weakest in recent memory for me.
I would have to back that up. When we were going through this and I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, who am I going to pick for support, right? Because every other position you can kind of be like, well, someone has stood out at least and had good performances. And then you're watching these supports and you're kind of like, well, no one's really done that much. So it's really hard.
I got Kasing there mainly because Kabi's been playing so well. He hasn't been playing quite as well as Hans Sama, I don't think, but I think Kasing is one of the main reasons that Kabi has been playing well. He's got a super wide champion pool. He's been great for Splice.
It's definitely been something that they've needed, right? And he's been and again, this has been a roster that hasn't quite performed up to what we expected, but he's definitely been a bright spot for them.
Absolutely. Our NA squads were pretty similar for the AllPro. Our EU ones are quite a bit different. Here's Mark's AllPro first team. Look at that handsome man.
Oh, just blue steel look right there. Coming out of the ADC Reckless. Love it. He is my guy. I think he's had a great performance to start, and he's been the bright spot so far for me on a Fnatic team that has had good performances out of guys like Caps and Broxa, but I think that Reckless is the guy still once again. And then for me, it's Jizuki in that mid lane. I'm all about the Italian Stallion. He has been styling on people, picking up those 1v2 outplays, loving what he's been doing.
He got styled on last week.
Yeah, well, that happens.
Back-to-back games.
That's the risk you run when you're styling on people. Every once in a while, it comes back at you. But I think that Jizuki is going to be dishing it out more than he'll be taking it. And I think that when you're looking at elsewhere, Wonder and Jankos have to be the guys that you're picking in the top and jungle position. They have been the best out of the crop so far. And then for me, support, again, it's really hard to make a pick here. I went with Norriscaran. I thought that his kill...
because of the dabs, right?
Yeah, the dabs and his kill participation. I'm all about
dabs first.
The dabs is the #1 thing there.
Yeah.
So that's how he made it onto my All-Pro list. But that one rounds it out for my first team there.
Yeah, when you're looking at stats to select an All-Pro team, the #1 stat you go to is, of course, dabs per game, or DPG. It's very important.
It's extremely vital.
That's
how I got my contract here. Dabs.
Absolutely. He just wouldn't stop dabbing. Let's look at the second team All-Pros for me in EU. Look at this. It's not Jizuki in the mid lane. People might lose their minds for that. I think Caps has actually been performing better than Reckless on that Fnatic squad. He's been fantastic. Reckless kind of struggled the first couple of weeks. He didn't look like the same Swedish Superman we're accustomed to seeing, whereas Caps was putting up carry performances and has been the whole time. I think he's pretty close to Perkz, actually, when it comes to that mid lane. A lot of Fnatic guys there. Broxa and Reckless. I still think Reckless has had a pretty solid season so far. Cabochard. He's the only Vitality guy I have, which people might have their mind blown. He's been much more like the old Cabochard that we've seen take over some games. He's been great on a bunch of different picks. Gnar, Gangplank. He can play a lot of stuff. The Kummel. I like what he's been doing in that top lane. And then Wadid as support. He's been much better. That bot lane as a whole for G2 has been a lot better during this win streak.
Yeah, definitely. He's been someone that has stepped up his performances recently, and I think that's why he's really picked himself up into the second spot on the AllPro team. Again, not a lot of competition for all these supports, but good enough to find yourself there.
And his laughter, and he just makes you smile. He's got a contagious smile.
That's definitely worth some value there for sure.
Right below Dabs. Let's check out Mark's second team All-Pro. Again, a little different than mine.
Definitely a little different. See, I'm going with Soaz, right? This is the guy we're talking about. Some of these week 1 Worlds performances, yeah, he's had some of those. But sometimes he's turned it around and made other people look like they're playing the dog champ. Soaz has had enough performances for me to put him there, but I do think, again, yeah, you are right, that Cabochard has been someone that you can throw into that position, and that's what I want to talk about really when you're looking at this All-Pro team, that, you know, when you're looking at the differences between mine and Eric's, you know, they're very slight. Caps is someone who I would have had in the 3rd spot, and I would have had Hansama, who was on your first All-Pro team, in as my 3rd ADC type of thing. So these are all guys that are right up and around there. But for me, it's been enough that I've seen from Mini Trupax, stepping it up, that attitude, everything that he's brought to the table so far. I've loved it, and he's picking it up there. Wadid, again, that support, he's been enough for them in G2. And then, yeah, Broxa has been somebody that has stepped up his performance from Worlds as well on Fnatic, which was something they were looking for, that development, and I think that he's brought enough to the table to pick up an All-Pro second team spot.
Yeah, I don't want to overreact, but I heavily thought about putting Shook on that first team All-Pro. I mean, guy just completely turned around an entire team.
You got to give him credit, as much as we flamed H2K for all the questionable
decisions. Oh, they deserve the flaming.
Very deserved. But at the exact same time, very deserved praise right now. Way to go, getting that 2-0 week. Very good job. And I think that, hey, when you're seeing them talk about, and yes, take this with the biggest grain of salt I can possibly ask you to take it with, they're winning 60 to 70% of their scrim games.
Oh,
yes, scrim games mean basically nothing, yes. But take that into account, H2K seeing a little bit of improvement, and hey, who would have thunk it? You get a real jungler instead of off-roll jungler, Cadriel. And it actually works out. Who knew?
3 junglers before you even hit 10 games. That is impressive, H2K. I will say, if they actually keep...
Is it impressive? Is impressive the right word?
It is impressive. It's impressively bad.
Yeah.
It can still be, something can be so bad that it's impressive. I will say, though, if they keep playing at this level, that actually makes it a lot more interesting in that bottom half of the standings to fight for the final playoff spots.
Could work out in the end for them. The long con.
The long con. Even UOL doesn't look that bad, so... It's going to be interesting coming down the stretch these last 4 weeks in Europe. We're about to get to your questions, so make sure you're sending them in, have been sending them in throughout the show. But right before we get to them, we got another teaser for you guys for the upcoming Twitch documentary that we've been working on that covers pretty much anything you can think of about Twitch. And I'm sure everyone heard about Twitch Plays Pokemon. Everyone was part of that. I know Mark was very much into that. But that's not the only thing that Twitch plays, that airs as Twitch plays on there. There's also things like Stock Stream, which is a guy giving up his own money, $5 of his own money for Twitch to put on the stock market, and it's actually gained him a bit of money. So make sure you check out this teaser right now that's covering Stock Stream.
So what is Stock Stream? I like to call it the world's first multiplayer stock market game using real money. In the past, there have been stock market games, but nobody has ever made a multiplayer stock market game that uses real money. I just sort of spent 6 months just refining this game, basically, that lets anybody just sign up for Twitch and just start controlling my investments, basically. It's sort of a voting game. Basically, everybody sort of works together to decide what to spend the money on. So if you go there, you'll see people chatting about different sectors and different stocks. You just vote what you want to buy or sell. Each round, it will sort of count down to the end, and it will calculate which one got the most votes, and it will just execute that trade. And actually, when you vote to buy or sell something, you are sort of tagged to that order so that when that share is sold, it will calculate the dollars and cents that you are responsible for, and it will adjust your score. So now it's sort of, try to incentivize players to actually play to win. I had no idea what people would vote for. I had no idea what the reaction would be. There are quite a few trolls, as I'm sure you can imagine, just the fact that there's money on the line. And then, of course, they like to buy stocks that are funny. So, for example, dog. There's this symbol ticker DOG, and it's basically this Dow short ETF. It really loses money almost every time we trade it, but it's funny. They post the emojis of dogs. It's just a way for you to learn about the stock market without really any risk at all.
All right, Mark, how much money would you give Twitch chat to just invest?
Zero.
Zero?
I have this.
Oh, I'd give them 20 bucks.
20 bucks? Have you spent more than 20 seconds looking at Twitch chat? I wouldn't trust any of those people.
They beat Pokemon.
Yeah,
they
but
beat it.
I can't. Things that go on there, I can't trust those people. But hey,
I'd throw down a 20.
Give him credit. He's actually made some money off of this initial investment of his with Twitch chat. Crazy.
Yeah, make sure, check out Stock Stream on Twitch. And again, that whole documentary on Twitch and how it's just kind of burst onto the scene is premiering later this month. Make sure you're checking that out. We got a couple other teasers on our channel dealing with it. It's fantastic. A lot of big streamers involved in that doc.
You watch anything on Twitch, you're bound to see a face or two that you recognize and get a little bit more information.
Absolutely. But right now, it's everybody's favorite time of day. It is question time. All right, even though I'm a C9 fan, I kind of thought Echo Fox would win. Do you think any other team can upset either Echo Fox or Cloud9? I mean, when CLG plays Echo Fox again, that's a guaranteed win, right? Right?
No, I think that, when you talk about it, TSM could, right? And again, we've talked a lot of issues with TSM, right? And there's a lot of improvement that still need to be made from them. But when you're looking at the talent that's there and what they should be able to accomplish and what they've done against these teams so far, is you would lead you to believe that yes, they would have a chance against them. When you're talking about Echo Fox, they had the huge 10K plus gold lead against them and just weren't able to quite close out either cleanly enough with their performance, and part of it also was Echo Fox's scaling and their aggression that they had in making the call when they needed to fight. And then also when you look at their performance against Cloud9, a little bit sloppy, some of the tower dives and things like that, where they could have managed to turn around one or two of those plays that allowed Cloud9 to take their advantage and snowball off of that and find their way to a quick win. That if TSM maybe executed a little bit cleaner, they could have found their way to being the ones that did have the lead in that one instead and be in the driver's seat. But right now, I think when you're talking about in the next week or two, I don't see any team besting Echo Fox or Cloud9. I think right now, in their current performance state, I think that they're just too clean.
Yeah, and I mean, anytime you're playing best of ones, there's always a potential for upset. Just look at Golden Guardians, Liquid, which someone asked, do you think that was more of a testament to how much Golden Guardians have improved, or this more of a display of Team Liquid's weaknesses? It's obviously a bit of both.
It really is a bit of both. I do have the confidence leaning toward that it is Golden Guardians improving a little bit. I think that they are showing that there is some promise with this roster. And as we said, Lorlo has been someone that has been, seemingly like a bright spot. We were looking for someone to be a carry for this team and actually step up and put up some of these performances. And he has been that guy recently for them. Like that's something. But then, yes, when you do look at the Liquid side, things are a little bit jumbled. I'm not seeing that synergy and roaming from Ole and Smithy that I want to be seeing from this team. And then again, yeah, I did give Doublelift my spot, second All-Pro team. I think he has been good enough for that. But you do look at some of those performances, and it does lead you to those reactions. Leaves you wanting more and leaves you making some of these questionable calls on, why are you dying here with your flash up or making this type of decision? And I think that needs to be maybe cleaned up a bit. And again, still another thing again to this, maybe impact plays a little bit better. All these type of things coming back, I think you see Liquid return to more so their form they had at the beginning of the split.
Fair enough, fair enough. Midwestern Rampage, thoughts on Vietnam becoming its own region?
Oof. we were looking at this one. I'm excited for it. I think it's a nice move for them, and I think especially for a team like the Gigabyte Marines playing there, I think this is a great thing for them getting these assured spots. I think it's a little questionable just jamming it in here right in the middle of this season.
Yeah,
going,
that's
hey,
a little confusing.
You know, all of a sudden MSI is going to be 14 teams, and all of a sudden, you know, one of the best play-in spots that you could have got from, or you know, one of the best teams play-in spots for Worlds has been taken away now to give away to this Vietnam region, and that's fine. But it's just a little bit of a shock to do this, just jumping right in still while we're in the middle of the spring split. But I do think overall, good decision and one that I'm happy to see made for the Vietnam region and their fans as well.
Yeah, it's only going to grow the game. And yeah, they get now their own seed for MSI and their own seed at Worlds.
And they have shown in the last year or two that they really are kind of the dominant area in the GPL, and that they were, you know, a bit outclassing the rest of their opponents, so that it's good to see them get their own type of league here.
But that Marine squad is no more with Levi gone, so we'll see. Why is Reckless so overlooked? He has the second largest KDA, fifth least deaths, most CS a minute, few first bad games, and he's already out of the race. I think the main reason...
You're going to talk to Eric on this one. Guys, he was on my all-pro teams.
Yeah, but he's not in the MVP conversation is what he's saying.
Okay.
I think the main reason he's not in the MVP talks is because he's got a guy like Caps on his squad that I think has been the more featured AD carry on that squad. I mean, you could argue that Wonder on G2 should take away from Perks, or Mini Trupax takes away from Jizuki in that mid lane, but I think those guys have still been the featured carries on their squad in Jizuki and Perks. I think Caps has been that above Reckless.
Yeah, I think when you look at this, that is something to take into account, that the performances from other players on his team have actually been strong enough, and which is a good thing when you're talking about team performance and getting results. But when you're looking at, you know, trying to get an individual award for Caps, for Reckless, it's not necessarily the best thing for him that Caps and Broxa and everyone else are really stepped up their performances, that he's not quite standing out the way that he used to, or that we are used to seeing from him on, say, a Fnatic roster.
Yeah, that's very true. Dud 190, it's looking clear that Echo Fox and C9 will get first and second, but who do you think will come out as third? Clutch, Liquid, or someone else?
I think that those are the teams I would look at right there. Clutch and Team Liquid. I think that TSM still has a strong uphill road to get into that top 3 slots. I think that TSM should feel safe and that they have the performance necessary to get themselves into the playoffs. But I don't know if they're going to be able to climb into that, and I don't know if Clutch Gaming or you know, Team Liquid, those are the guys that I think that will be dueling it out for that third spot there to claim the top 3. Because I think, yeah, Echo Fox and Cloud9 seem pretty darn solid in the 1-2 hole.
But who do you like more, Clutch or Liquid?
I like Clutch right now.
Well,
as of recently, I like Clutch. I still have a
4 in a row.
lot of faith in Team Liquid. I like what I've seen from Clutch. Lyra stepping it up, Hakuo still being very solid in the bot lane, Febivin's carries, and then of course Solo doing better than I would have expected from him.
Luke Lesh says, I'm a C9 fan, but Licorice is so wrong in Mark's second All-Pro team. By the way, I had him on my second All-Pro team as well. He gets the most help in the league.
What's wrong with getting help?
Who do you put above him?
That's part of the game. That's my question. Because
Impact?
really, you're looking at Impact, Hanser, Solo. Flame?
Darshan?
No, you know what? And again, that's not to be mean to those other guys. It's just that I don't see their performances being any bit distinguishably better than Licorice's performances. So I don't know how you wouldn't put him in your second All-Star team, because I wouldn't have him in my first team. I don't have him better than Huni.
But I don't talk about someday.
But I don't see it there.
Someday. Maybe someday you put ahead of him, but he's also been a little inconsistent.
I want to watch someday get more of the carry treatment from 100 Thieves. I want 100 Thieves to say, you're the guy. You're our carry, and we're going to be making more of these decisions and draft choices around you and getting you the counterplay matchups that you want, or more of these carry champions that Licorice has been allowed to play from Cloud9. I would love to see someday, you know, Unchained there and bringing it out for Prolly and 100 Thieves, and I think that might help them break out of their funk that they're going through right now. But again, I just don't really see, I have not seen any performances from these top laners other than Huni that's been better than Licorice's has been for the entire split so far. That's my reasoning. But yeah, Licorice has gotten help, but that still ends up in the results.
Due to this is a juicy one. Due to ever increasing criticism of TSM and continued underperformance, this will be Bjergsen's last year on TSM. Overreaction or true statement?
I think that's an overreaction. I think Bjergsen is definitely in this for the long haul with Team Solo Mid, and I don't see him necessarily retiring in the next season or two. But you are bringing something up to a point that this is something that, that is part of TSM's identity with the expectations that comes with it, but also part of Bjergsen's identity with the pressure and expectations that he has set for himself, not only with his performance so far in his career, but also what he has stated to the media is what he wants to be doing and how he views he should be performing. And I think that we haven't seen, the performances up to that level. Bjergsen has been good, and he's had his good solo performances in his own lane, but it has not been enough. Someone of his caliber and of his importance on the team, you would be expecting and should be demanding more from him. And I think that that's what you're looking at with TSM's performance. But I don't think that this will be even as sour as it could get and as toxic as it could get with TSM fans. And I'll say TSM fans with quotation marks here. Most of them are really TSM haters that are just trying to get under the skin of the real TSM fans that are out there. But I will say I don't think Bjergsen will be leaving TSM anytime soon.
I mean, he's got it pretty sweet as the face of the biggest organization in North America, probably the Western.
He's got it pretty good.
He's got it pretty good, even though he gets a lot of hate.
You can even see his face at Best Buy trying to sell some Logitech gear.
Who doesn't want to be on Best Buy, man? Come on. Hugo says TSM should have signed contracts, not Mike Young.
Sure. I don't think that that's necessarily the biggest issue right now. I don't think you could say that it's the skill is the problem with the jungler position.
Right. Who knows if contract synergizes any better?
Right. I think that's really, if you're talking about that, that's what it would only be. And, people get all upset about, you gave up Svenskeren for Mike Young type of thing. Well, you had to give up Svenskeren for Mike Young because of the imports coming in with Sven and Mithy. So that wouldn't have worked to keep him type of thing there. I don't think that just swapping contracts, and I don't necessarily think that contracts is all that much better than Mike Young. I think Mike Young has a lot of mechanical skill and a lot of skill that he has shown in the past in the LCS on Phoenix 1 and things like that. We just haven't seen it quite unchained, unlocked with TSM to the full potential that we know that he's available to get to and what we've seen from him play. This is a guy who's been challenger since the age of 13. Mike Young is for real a good player, and he will find his stride on TSM. It's just taking a lot longer than I think he would have expected or anybody would have wanted to see from him.
Absolutely. Michael Gleisen, Fox versus G2, Unicorns versus Golden Guardians. Thoughts?
I like Fox. I like Fox a lot in this match against G2. I think G2 is a very good team still, a lot of things proper, but again, it's that decisiveness. I love that word with Echo Fox. They just make the call and they execute on it, and 90% of the time it seems like it's the right call and they are executing it exactly how it needs to be done. I think that's why they would find a win against a top team like G2. And then when you're bringing it over to the side of Unicorns of Love and Golden Guardians, I think that's anybody's matchup, really. But I think it really,
Fiesta boys!
Really would favor Golden Guardians if you can get to kind of 20 minutes into a decent team fighting shape where you're not too far behind on gold. I like the Golden Guardians more in that situation.
I might actually like Unicorns in that. Ooh. They've actually looked competitive in more matches than the
we gotta get the anti-Rift rivals going on. Get the
saying.
Bottom 3 teams.
Rift friends.
That's
friends on the Rift.
Rift friends.
That's what I want. That's what I want. Let's see. We got a lot here, so we won't be able to get to them all. So we do apologize to that, friends. Which of the 7 and 3 EU teams are more likely to stumble, and which 5 and 5 team is most likely to make a late season surge? I don't think you can go against Fnatic or G2. So really by default, it's got to be Vitality.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I like them enough, but you really don't know with them compared to, say, a G2 Fnatic where you can feel a lot more confident and you have a lot more results and history to back up this type of confidence behind it. So yeah, unfortunately, would have to be a Vitality in that situation.
5 and 5 squads. I mean, again, the easy pick is probably Misfits because that's a team that looks. Again, it's 3/5 of that quarterfinal berth at Worlds, but I might take Splice.
Yeah, I'd flip-flop between the two of them, really, to be honest. I just haven't seen, again, there just isn't enough performance. There isn't enough credible performances that you can look at from these two teams and these performances to say that, yeah, they're going to be fine. They'll step it up. There just hasn't been it, and that you can't have that type of confidence in what type of product you're going to be getting from them on the Rift.
Will CLG make playoffs?
No. I had CLG making it to finals. They're not making playoffs.
Not looking so good, my man.
No, it really isn't. They're not going to make it. They need more time. This is a roster that does have the talent. Mechanical skill, absolutely, yes.
Why do they need so much
time? They do have the
time?
brains. They need time to figure it out. They can't get everything going. Stixay's busy.
Maybe it's just not going to work.
Stixay's busy hitting the blast cone, and sending everybody into the Baron Pit to die.
Well, that was for Afro. He said, one more time for my love, Afro move.
Even when they asked Biofrost about it after, he's like, I didn't know that happened. I had to see that on the replay to see that it was Stixay that hit us in.
Yeah,
again, it's just more time to figure out everything that goes on with this team and you know, who needs to be filling what vital roles of information and shot calling and whatnot at the right times. I think that is what needs to be ironed out by them, because we've seen that they've been able to have early game performances that were, you know, planned out and prepared for, and they execute it well. But then once it hits the 3-5 minute points, when you know what you've planned for is out the window and you have to be reacting now, it hasn't been the same performance. Sorry, I don't see CLG making the playoffs this year. Maybe summer.
They got a tough road ahead of them. A quick LCK All-Pro team. Well, top lane, it's Con, 100%.
Con.
Jungle, Peanut or Score, probably.
I go Score.
Go Score? Peanut's been pretty good.
I know. I love me some Peanut too. Peanut has the cutest smile in all of the LCK, hands down, flat out. But
now that Hooney's not there.
Yeah, that's true. But maybe not. Maybe not. I'd go with Score there, and then
mid lane.
Who are you going with? Really? You
Lava?
really want to ask?
Lava.
BDD. Pretty good. No.
It's Faker.
It's always Faker.
AD. Give me Teddy.
I want Teddy. I was gonna say Teddy
Give
too.
me Teddy.
I thought about that one, and I was like, give me Teddy. I want Teddy.
Give me Teddy.
I really want to see Teddy. At support, you can really take anybody. There's just so much.
The LCK support
step.
is the total opposite of EU.
Yeah.
Pinpointing one guy to be on the All-Pro, you could probably pick 6 or 7 guys. I'll say Gorilla.
Yeah.
That's an easy pick.
It's pretty solid.
Safe.
Wolf has really shown that he has been one of the better supports. This is a guy who's made it to 3 World Finals, right?
Yeah, you know what? Actually,
really stepping it up.
Throw Wolf in support, also throw him in jungle. Both. He gets both. Shout-outs to our boy Wolf.
Yeah. Wolf is a badass enough that he could pull off jungle and support.
He loves doing this.
Yeah. He can pull off jungle,
cool.
support, All-Pro.
No one else can wear glasses that thick.
And have like
make it
nails out to here and then
He plays guitar, you know. It's for strumming.
He's a cool dude.
It's for finger picking.
He's a cool dude.
Okay, we'll do 2 more questions. Then we gotta get out of here. Kingzone versus SKT. Who wins in a best of 5?
Kingzone.
I don't think it's close right now. I give him 3-1.
I want to say it's close, and I have a lot of faith in Blossom and Tall coming up and performing a lot better and keep on improving. Kingzone. I'm sorry, they're just too good right now.
That's fair. Yeah, right now I think Kingzone.
I don't want to send anyone up against Con. That's like not fair to do to anybody.
No.
Do you want to feed for 30 minutes? Okay.
Anton says, this is the last question. When do you think High and other older players will retire? Well, High's already retired. Once? Twice?
I think High's in it for at least another year. I think if you're looking at retiring, and again, I don't know any type of insider information on this type of thing, maybe Lemonation. This is a guy who's been around for quite a while and has had a lot of insight into how things are going in League of Legends, but I think that this is someone who might be time to take a step off of the stage and maybe into more of a coaching type of role or analyst type of role. I think he could be better suited on, because his numbers, and again, numbers aren't everything, but he hasn't really been producing enough to warrant kind of his spot on Optic, really, which is unfortunate for someone who has done so much for the LCS in his time.
Yeah, I think in general, the retirement age in esports, which
I think it's going up quite a bit.
It's going up, definitely. It was like a ludicrous 25 on average, which is before most people's careers even start.
Think about Doublelift, right? This is a guy who's, you know, around that age, and he's going to be playing for Team Liquid for another 3 years. We're starting to see 3-4 year type of contracts in esports, which hadn't been seen before the lane.
The problem is how in stone are these contracts. I know a lot of the guys on G2 are 3 years. I feel like if Hjarnan and Woody don't perform well for a year, the Ocelot just goes, see ya.
That's a different.
I'll pay you some money.
But that's definitely a different scenario than talking about, you know, one of these veteran players that's very established and, you know, has this type of following and can kind of coast that through the end of their career.
And there's that transition into coaching.
And hey, you never know. Maybe they keep him on that streamer lifestyle.
Well, one thing, when you're getting older, one of the first things to go is your back.
Yeah.
And to prevent your back from going, you got to sit in a DX Racer chair. And if you go to dxracer.com right now and use the promo code ShotCallers, you get 15% off. And believe you me, your back will thank you.
Yeah, and hey, if you're all about that streamer lifestyle, you should have a chair like this. I'm dead serious. This makes your streamer lifestyle that much more luxurious. It really is a good investment. It's a good investment, and hey, 15% off. I think that's that stock market Twitch game. They would tell you 15% off, great deal.
And they know all about deals.
They know finance.
They know finance. That's it, guys. That's it for the show. Thank you so much for sending in all your questions. Apologies that we couldn't get to them all. The technical difficulties from Mark's cat really put a hamper on some of those questions.
Sorry, Sammy won't be coming to the studio too often
Sammy's
anymore.
never coming back. If we didn't get to your question, send it to @ShotCallersEsports _ ShotCallersEsports on Twitter, and we'll be sure to answer it on there. Otherwise, we're back on Monday for Get Boosted. It'll be some Week 6 power rankings.
Oh boy.
And also, this week, we've got a video going up that's looking back at our preseason predictions and how they're looking right now after Week 5.
A couple of them look good.
A lot of them look bad.
A couple of them, not so much.
A lot of them look bad. We're looking at UTSM and Vitality.
And CLG.
And CLG. CLG did not expect them to do that bad. But that video is going to be going up later today, so make sure you head to Shot Callers Esports on YouTube to check that out. But that's it for today. Eric and Mark, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you guys back here on Monday.